One of the world's most formidable heroes, the Sentry is a bright sentinel, yet at every step, his darker side reveals itself to be an impossible destructive force. High school student Robert Reynolds transforms into a superhuman after learning the mysterious professor's formula. Following his defeat of the school bully who had been tormenting him, Reynolds puts together a costume and makes his public debut as the valiant Sentry. On the other hand, his darker side is always present. Launched in March 1947 at the West Virginia installation known only as the Facility, Project Sentry is a joint U.S./Canadian government operation that uses material from Canada's Weapon X program and former Nazi scientists in an attempt to not only replicate the USA's super soldier serum, which nearly 10 years earlier gave Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, his powers, but also to multiply its effects on an ideal test subject by several thousand. Nevertheless, Cold War politics ultimately hampered the project, splintering it into smaller operations with contracted research and no central government overseeing it altogether. As a result, no more super soldier projects, like the ones that gave rise to the Nightmericans, Ted Sallis, aka the Man-Thing, Frank Simpson, aka Nuke, and others, were able to achieve complete success. A high school student named Robert Reynolds, who suffers from schizophrenia and anxiety problem, takes an experimental version of the super soldier serum from one of his science professors who is a subcontracted researcher with the project decades after Project Sentry first started. Reynolds swallows the serum, unaware of its origin and hoping for nothing more than a memorable drug experience. What he gets instead is amazing solar-powered superhuman skills. Reynolds' psychological issues cause him to exhibit the highly malicious persona known as the Void, but his subconscious also rapidly presents a heroic figure that strikes a balance. Reynolds, unable to control the Void personality at this time, unintentionally splits into two individuals, none of which is aware of the other. He assumes the persona of the Blue Buffoon, a costumed criminal based on childhood paintings. He threatens his classmate and crush Lindy Lee. The heroic persona, wearing a makeshift mask, defeats the buffoon and departs, re-merging into a single human and still not completely understanding what had happened. Reynolds is approached by government officials, presumably notified by the professor from whom he had stolen the serum, and the naive teenager enables them to test his powers at the facility. However, project staff made multiple attempts to kill him because they were afraid of the extraordinary effect the serum's illegal use had on an unidentified youngster and the possibility that he could utilize the ability to empower others. Despite their best efforts, the teen was too resilient to even notice their attempts. The professor manipulates him into thinking he needs frequent reapplications of the serum, which are simply safe saline injections, by giving him a fictitious account of the serum's effects. However, these precautions do not prevent him from launching a superhero career as the Sentry. Although much of his early activities apparently occur outside the public eye, his intelligence as magnified as his strength, the Sentry constructs the high-tech watchtower as his headquarters, overseen by the Artificial Intelligence Centrally Located Organic Computer, CLOC, and his heroic deeds become legendary. Not only around the world but also throughout space, the Sentry is endowed with superhuman strength, speed, and intelligence in addition to invulnerability, heightened senses, energy projection capabilities, and the capacity to fly. These abilities are all derived from solar radiation absorption and are contingent on the Sentry's mental state. When steady, he possesses the potential for practically endless strength. Described as equal to 1,000,000 exploding suns, nevertheless, if his mental state wavers, he becomes weaker and easier to vanquish. He also has a great deal of undeveloped psychic ability. The energy that bestows upon him has the unintended consequence of making the Hulk submissive, even during fits of fury. It has to be seen if he can utilize this attribute for other purposes. He has much of the same abilities as the Void, plus the capacity to take on multiple forms and infiltrate other people's brains with his black tendrils. The Sentry battles many foes, but none as powerful as his arch-nemesis and darker half, the Void, a malevolent persona who dedicates his life to killing as many people as the Sentry rescues. For a long time, the two do not realize they are aspects of the same person, and the Sentry goes to great lengths to defeating the Void, even altering his memories and that of the world's memories as well. in addition to such threats as Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, Victor Von Doom, aka Dr. Doom, KLRT, aka Super Skrull, and Gallon, aka Galactus, the Sentry, either alone or alongside fellow heroes, fought the extra-dimensional android pirates, super strong Danny Boy, the hallucinogenic hippie, the living nuke, the subterranean lobster people, Menace Master, Xeniac and his teammates in the Factious Five, murderous robot Tommy Vermillion and others. As Reynolds, he falls romantically linked with Lindy Lee and eventually marries her. Despite this, she starts to fear him and his almost boundless strength. The Sentry gains a lot of notoriety and friendships with most of New York's superheroes after the Fantastic Four and other characters make their more widely recognized debuts. In particular, he befriends Dr. Stephen Strange, also known as Dr. Strange, and Reed Richards, also known as Mr. Fantastic, the leader of the FF. His abilities give Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, control and serenity, and the Sentry's sun energy calms him down, making him a loyal ally. Younger superheroes like Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, and the X-Men look up to him. In order to battle his darker side, the Void, the Sentry allies up with the FF, the X-Men, and the Avengers. Later, he joins Norman Osborn's evil Avengers, who go by the name Green Goblin. Osborn tries to manage his own demons while aiding the Sentry in overcoming his, but in the end, he uses Robert's dark side, the Void, for his own end.